Hello, students. Let me start with a fascinating question. Have you ever wondered how traits like eye color or height are passed down from one generation to the next? Well, in the mid 1800s, a brilliant scientist named Gregor Mendel figured it all out with his experiments on pea plants. Through his groundbreaking work, Mendel became the father of modern genetics. He introduced us to the laws of inheritance, the very rules that govern how traits are inherited. In today's video, we'll explore these laws and how they help explain the inheritance patterns in living organisms. Mendel's experiments were nothing short of revolutionary. He chose pea plants for his studies not because he was a gardener, but because they have distinct, easily observable traits. He studied 7 contrasting traits like tall versus dwarf plants and yellow versus green seeds. By controlling the pollination, Mendel could cross-fertilize plants with different traits. It's like being able to choose the parents of the next generation. He made sure to track each trait across several generations to ensure reliable results. This careful and methodical approach helped Mendel uncover the fundamental principles of inheritance. Let's dive into Mendel's first law, the law of dominance. Mendel discovered that some traits dominate others. For example, when he crossed a tall pea plant with a dwarf pea plant, the offspring all came out tall. Why? Because the tall trait was dominant. So, in the presence of the dominant tall gene, the recessive dwarf gene didn't show up in the first generation. This was an eye-opener. It meant that the inheritance of traits wasn't as random as people had thought. Traits don't blend, instead, one trait can mask the other. Now let's talk about Mendel's second law, the law of segregation. This law says that each parent carries 2 alleles for a trait, but only one allele is passed to each offspring. So, when Mendel crossed 2 pea plants that both had one tall allele, T, and one dwarf allele, T, he found that the offspring didn't just inherit one from each parent, the alleles separated randomly. This is why, in the next generation, the recessive dwarf trait reappeared. It was segregated back into the gene pool. It's like flipping a coin, heads or tails, each coin flip is random, just like which allele is passed down. Let's move on to Mendel's third law, the law of independent assortment. This one is really interesting because it says that genes for different traits inherit independently of each other. Mendel observed this when he crossed pea plants with 2 traits, seed color and seed shape. He found that the inheritance of one trait didn't affect the inheritance of the other. For example, the gene for seed color was inherited independently of the gene for seed shape. This law helped Mendel predict the inheritance of multiple traits at once, much like how different pairs of shoes can be chosen without influencing each other. Mendel's contributions didn't just stop with these laws. His work laid the foundation for modern genetics, the branch of biology that deals with heredity. He helped us understand that traits are inherited through discrete units of inheritance called genes, and his laws provided the framework for scientists to explore how genetic variation occurs. His use of statistical methods was groundbreaking. It allowed him to make accurate predictions about inheritance, which had never been done before. His ideas were later rediscovered and became the cornerstone of the field of genetics. So let's quickly recap what we've learned. Mendel's first law, the law of dominance, tells us that one trait can dominate over another. His second law, the law of segregation, explains how alleles for a trait separate during gamete formation. And his third law, the law of independent assortment, shows us how genes for different traits assort independently. These 3 laws gave us a deep understanding of how traits are inherited and continue to shape the study of genetics today. Mendel's work, though conducted over a century ago, is still at the heart of modern genetics research, influencing everything from plant breeding to human genetic studies. Isn't it amazing how these simple pea plants led to such profound discoveries? Thank you for watching, and I hope you now have a deeper appreciation for Mendel's laws and how they help explain the world of genetics. Until next time, keep exploring the fascinating science of life.